I'm going to do my best to take minutes tonight because Kyle's no longer with us. Did you all hear from him? He sent an email. He said he was going to try and reach out to everybody and say goodbye and thank you. Very polite. We're going to miss him. He was really great. So I'll do my best to take minutes. Public comment. Do we have any public comment besides Bill's thing? Todd? Are you here for a public comment, or you're just here in general?
I'm just here in general.
Okay, great. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. Okay, so citizens petition to advance the engineering process to establish TMDL of Nauset Estuary. Bill Ambrose. Billy, can you come up on say hello and tell us what's going on?
Oh, I didn't realize it would be so soon called upon.
Sorry, it's a pretty quick thing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bill Amaru. I'm a past member of the Shellfish Waterways Committee and a resident in town. Yeah, I'm here tonight to speak on a citizen's petition that's being distributed and developed through the efforts of Charlie Carlson, who's the author of the petition, and supporters from the region of the Mill Pond, Nauset Heights, and the adjoining waters to the estuary, the Nauset Estuary. I'm going to read a brief statement that will pretty much outline, rather than go on about little aspects of it that don't necessarily connect, and hopefully that will set the stage for a discussion that we'll have with the board. The Nauset Estuary needs our help. Please sign our citizens' petition. Nauset Estuary, also known as Nauset Marsh, includes all the salt waters behind Nauset Spit and Coast Guard Beach, including Town Cove and Mill Pond in Orleans and the Salt Pond in Eastham. Those are the major bodies of water. There are many others. In the past, this estuary was one of the great habitats for fish and shellfish on Cape Cod. Today, although the estuary may still look healthy, its waters contain excessive levels of nitrogen. A study completed in 2012 confirmed this fact. Because of the high level of nitrogen, essential eelgrass has virtually disappeared within the estuary. Shellfish, once so incredibly abundant, cannot live in most of the areas where they were once found. And striped bass, flounder, and other fish are deterred from using most of the estuary's waters due to the fact that there is not sufficient oxygen within the estuary. Studies must be done to determine current nitrogen contamination, and these are requirements that are not necessarily town level, but are state requirements. There's already one in existence for the Pleasant Bay estuary. You probably already know that. Pleasant Bay is under a state mandate to reduce levels of nitrogen, and this committee has been instrumental in developing some of the plans and programs that have worked so well in Pleasant Bay. They have a healthy resource there now. We're asking for the same kind of treatment for the Nauset Estuary. Contamination levels in the estuary and the necessary nitrogen reductions are key to bringing the water qualities back. In the Mill Pond, there is an aquaculture project in the future in sewering, which we know will come eventually for Eastham and Orleans. However, in the interim period, we need to have more information that can lead us to a more rapid and effective way of reducing the pollutants, mainly nitrogen, that are affecting the water quality. We all know the Orleans economy is based on the appeal of its waters to residents and tourists alike. Further, town residents have said in a recent community survey that maintaining the quality of the town's waters, both salt and fresh, is a top priority, the top priority in the town. Nauset Estuary should not be treated differently than our sister estuary to the south in Pleasant Bay. We're hoping that the citizens' petition, if voted by the town at one of our next two town meetings, we plan on either having it ready for the November meeting or in May at the latest, will give the citizenry of the town an opportunity to vote and decide whether or not they'd like to move forward with the expense, and there will be expense involved in this, to go ahead with a TMDL, which is the total maximum daily load established. Before we can do anything, we have to know what the total maximum daily load of nitrogen in the estuary is. And when we know that, then we know how much we need to reduce it by, which is what this study will be talking about. As it stands now, this action will request of the citizens of Orleans $300,000 for the engineering study necessary to do this. Now, this will also be involved with the entire estuary, which is partly Eastham, as we know, and would have to be working with the town of Eastham on the cost and the effectiveness of development. And hopefully that will come down the road. But initially, we're talking about the town of Orleans being willing to get involved in this process. Once a TMDL is established, the town and the state will jointly choose the actions necessary to restore the estuary's health and the timetables for those actions. With various tools, including government grants and loans, all parties will focus on ensuring that these actions will not unduly burden taxpayers. We understand the cost of living in this town have gone up, and we're sensitive to that. We are all paying taxes as well. But we also believe that the quality of life in this town depends on the health of its waters, and that's worth funding. The town should welcome this process and act now to preserve Nauset Estuary for the benefit of residents, tourists, and future generations. So that's what I came here to speak about, and there's specific questions that you may have, or anyone, about how we're planning on executing this and where we hope to get to when we're done. I think 2030 is the date that we're hoping will be completed with a complete process, and perhaps things in the future will be done that'll also aid in this. But this total maximum daily load limit is critical and key for us to be able to move forward, and that's what we're really talking about funding and acting on.
And how is that determined?
Well, that's the whole question, isn't it? It's an engineering study that they'll do. There'll have to be an engineering company that will be hired, very much the same way they did it in Pleasant Bay in 2012. And they'll come in and they'll do the process of analysis with taking water samples and quality and evaluating the amount of flow and stream that comes from wastewater systems.
Leaching, as far as leaching areas?
Oh, yeah, that's the whole thing. You know, where we're getting road runoff, rain, where is it going when it's carrying the effluents and different products, how much fertilizer is affecting. You know, we've had this discussion. This committee was key in developing the philosophy of lowering our fertilizer use in the town. We were successful in getting the town to vote in favor of banning, for the most part, except in limited quantities where fertilizer would be able to be used. And I'd like to think that we were successful in the effect of what we did, but there has been no further enforcement actions or any other things other than the vote. And I think the awareness, though, and the education that we were promoting during that time was effective. And I know there people are much more concerned today about having quality water than having a neon green lawn 9 months out of the year. Well, I know, it's still very frustrating when you drive up and down some of the streets and you see, especially near the water. But, so, yes.
Bill, the TMDL down in Pleasant Bay, how was that funded? Was that through the sewer?
No, that was prior to us developing the sewer plan. No, that goes back further. I'm sure that the town did very much like what we're doing now, but rather than it being a citizen's petition, it was something that the town
Automatically
sponsored.
funded.
Right, and then the funding came from the town, and I'm sure there were large grants. I mean, we were even involved because of the Oyster Project. That was part of that TMDL. That was a reduction. You know, but the first thing you do is to determine the load, what you've got, and what the environment can handle. Pleasant Bay being it's a deeper, more robust environment up there with a lot more ocean flow than we have up in Nauset. As we all know, we're choked off because of the inlet being way up to the north like that and so shallow. That process was, I'm sure, much more simplified than ours is going to be. And we have numerous bodies of water that'll have to be looked at, and it'll also be in two towns. You know, Chatham was certainly part of what we did, and I'm not privy to knowing exactly how we worked with Chatham on the project, but it's been meeting the goals that were set out by the state, and we'll have to do the same thing in our estuary.
Thanks.
Is Eastham required to go join with us?
No, I don't believe that there's any word like required from one town to another to a town.
Suggested.
We already know what it was like. You were involved in the
That's why I'm
process.
asking, yeah,
Yeah,
because
no,
they-
I know. No, but I think this is not a dredge project, okay?
Is what, not a what?
And not a dredge project, that, I'm using that euphemistically, it's like we had years ago when we were talking about dredging the estuary for the channel. That Nauset Channel that we were hoping to open up. Eastham was adamant about not wanting to participate in that. But I think this is a completely different way of approaching, and a different animal we're talking about here, the health of the estuary, you know. I don't think people want to be looking at green slime and have an odor coming off their ocean, their inlet and bay view, when the temperatures get like they are right now. We're already having problems with our fresh water with cyanobacterial
Yeah.
infections, so.
There was reports in, I think, early June about blue-green algae.
Oh, yeah,
All
there
over
certainly
Upper
was.
Cape, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and some of the most unlikely places, Crystal Lake, last place I thought we'd ever see it. There was a high level of bacteria there for a while. So, anyway, I hope that,
What can the committee do to help with this?
well, that was where I was gonna end the discussion. I'd like to ask the committee, as we've done in the past, to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that this citizen petition be given the full support of their standing. Right now, I can't speak for the board, but we had a brief meeting today with two of the board members who were willing to sit down and talk with us, and the assistant town manager. It was very productive. But I think a letter from this group to the Board of Selectmen stating their support, your support of what we're trying to gain here, would carry some weight.
Okay. Let's hope so. I mean,
Well,
we
you
can
know,
we can only try.
That's who we are as a group. This committee is given the responsibility of advising the Board of Selectmen. We are an advisory committee.
I understand.
And this is the kind of thing that we are here to do. And I hope that everybody on the board, I know we don't have everybody here tonight, but would feel positively about acting on this and going forward. I know I do. All right?
Yep, thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much for the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Todd, do you have anything to add to that? Maybe as, no, come on up. If you can state your past presence in Orleans, please.
Todd Bunzik, ex-superintendent of the water department. I worked there for 36 and a half years. We have got, the next phase of sewering is coming up here very shortly. That's going to hopefully help out with Crystal Lake, Pilgrim Lake, and some of Aries Pond. That construction starts on, I believe, the 17th. So that is a step forward in trying to reduce nitrogen loading. Now, mind you, it's going to take a couple of years to get it all done and get the houses all hooked up, but it should be a step in the right direction as far as trying to reduce nitrogen loading in the upper part of Pleasant Bay. Doesn't help with Town Cove, but we're phases away. I mean, to finish out phasing the town, if the town continues to keep voting on adding sewering projects, we're looking at something like 2065. So it's a long way out. We will all be long dead and buried by the time that gets taken care of. That timeline is not great.
Yeah.
I know attending some of the fire department meetings, they're trying to get that on sewer, tying in from Route 6. The new department is, as of right now, will be a septic system. But even getting that leg up to the new fire department location would take what is state mandated out of sync as far as the phasing. And I think, Bill, your side of Mill Pond is like 14?
38.
Okay. So, yeah, the guys that'll be installing the sewer at the end aren't even born yet.
Copy. Thank you.
Quick question, Todd. Do you know where the majority of the leaching is coming from going into Nauset Estuary? Is there a specific area in town?
No, I do not.
Clay lenses, probably.
Right. No, what was mapped out with the Mill Pond estuary, so to speak. I know on Nauset Heights, we've got 40 to 45 homes that would ultimately dump in. Obviously, all the Grandview, Harborside, and your Bill's side of Mill Pond. But
I just don't know how the groundwater actually travels, so I mean, that's kind of, that's nothing, not my expertise, but didn't know. Yeah,
When Todd's done, I can give you some.
okay,
Yeah,
Yes.
I know that the groundwater runs almost west and slightly north,
okay,
so you can go from there as
Okay.
far as how the water's getting to Town Cove.
okay.
The break point is basically, if you know where Tank 1 is, on Lots Hollow Road, that's very close to the landfill. That's the break point.
That's pretty much our highest
Everything,
point in town,
everything,
isn't it?
everything south of that is headed into Pleasant Bay. Everything north of that is headed for Town Cove.
Is Tank One like our highest point in town, or is that
It is the
cemetery?
highest point in town. It's the highest point in this whole side of the Cape.
Yeah, okay.
136 foot above sea level, so,
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
you, appreciate it. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Bill Amaru again. I wanted to say that I've been to enough of the meetings on the sewering to know that the area that I had a great deal of concern about, it turns out we don't have as much of a problem with it as I thought we did. I thought that the area where Scott lives and the region between Grandview and moving in towards the Heights was problematic towards Roberts Cove and Mill Pond. As it turns out, that flow is directly out into the ocean,
East, okay.
under
Ah,
the beach,
interesting.
under the spit in Nauset Beach. So I don't know how much that paid into the scheduling of the actual timing of things. I know Mill Pond, I was shocked when I saw how late in the process Mill Pond was going to be. But the cost of this process where we have to keep funding and running into the expenses that the town's running into, there's no guarantee that we're gonna get much further than we are. And I'm a little skeptical that people are gonna continue to fund it. Because the timing of it does seem so far in the future, the benefits. And then when you start looking at the time it takes for the effluent that's already in the ground to clear itself, I mean, geez, you phrased it quite well. We're gonna be dead and buried in that ground that's currently full of our effluent. But you got to remember, this is one generation. There's been many generations before us, and there hopefully will be many generations after. So we're doing this for our children and our grandchildren. Really, that's what it comes down to. What are you willing to do for the future of this town?
So, quick, what will be the timeline for the letter, as soon as possible?
If you could do that as soon as possible,
Okay.
it would be. We did talk about a timeline today, and we're talking about us having to compete, the 100 signatures for the petition done by the end of this month. It has to go to the town. They have to review it and check the dates, the citizenship aspect of
addresses, yeah.
towns and all that. So, yeah, we have to have it done by like the third week in September.
Okay. Do you need help having people out there signing petitions?
Well, there's three of us collecting signatures. I don't think we'll need much more, but it would be nice to have anyone that you talk to say, if you are interested in the quality of the water in Orleans, in the saltwater environment, there's a petition you can sign that'll focus on that, and tell them to reach out to me.
Do you have
Sure.
handouts that we can hand out?
Yes, I have the whole thing with me here, but I think I have to be personally involved in presenting it, because there are questions people will ask, and, we have to be honest about what we're doing here,
Yep, yep.
as completely upfront as we can.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Bill?
Suzanne Phillips. Some of this might relate to one of the questions that might be asked. I've been one of the water samplers since they started, which I think was 25 years ago. And when we started, there was like 44, 45 sites. Some of them have been cut down for a small number of years. I'm not even sure if they did the project. But at the time, it was not a town initiated project. It was the Massachusetts Estuaries Project, the State Department of Environmental Protection, and the contractor was then UMass Dartmouth, but it's now SMAST. And Dr. Brian Howes was the leader. I know that there have been some water sampling in Town Cove because I personally did it. And I've been doing a site on Cape Cod Bay for the last number of years, so it was a little bit wider than just Pleasant Bay. I don't know, and this is a good question, why didn't they set a TMDL in Nauset Estuary back in the beginning? I have no clue why they didn't. I know there was some testing. In fact, there's some testing now in, well, no, maybe that's not Nauset. But I don't know why they didn't do it then.
What was the main project, Pleasant Bay?
No, it was more of a town-wide thing, and Pleasant Bay was part of it, and Chatham and the folks down there started the year before we did. We've been doing it, we're the second longest running water sampling project on the
What year
Cape,
did that start?
Orleans.
What year was that?
I think 2000, but I don't remember. I mean, the first year they gave out T-shirts and hats, and I got one of those.
Nice.
And George Meservey would know. I answered an ad in the paper when they were looking for boats, and they kind of laughed at me when I had a rowboat, but we did use that a little bit.
Boat?
But I support the petition. I think we should get this going. I don't know why it wasn't done years ago, but I think it might be a little bigger project and a little more complicated than people are thinking or aware right now. So it might be worth talking to some of the people that were involved. And I know, for example, Brian Howes has passed away, but there's some other people around that were involved. And I would start talking to George Meservey, because going around to get the petition, there's going to be people saying, didn't we do this? Why didn't we do, there's going to be that kind of feedback. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg, I do know that at some point in time when the testing was done, it was believed that Cedar Land was the end of everything from Cedar Land east went to the ocean. That's why it was stopped at, and nothing was ever decided on Mill Pond.
But that's just Mill Pond. What about the rest of the estuary?
Well, Tonsett is, you've got the west side of Mill Pond is scheduled, Tonsett's scheduled, which I think is also mandated. So that'll surround Town Cove,
Right.
with the exception of whatever Eastham's adding in.
Yeah, but we're talking about just sampling getting a baseline.
Yep.
However much sewer is happening or not, we still need to
Still need the
support a
baseline.
baseline.
Correct.
So how do we,
To Bill's point, it's still leaching. Even if you can put full sewers in today, they'll still be effluent leaching for the next 10 years. How many years, I don't really know. But
so how do we support that with a letter?
I would imagine so. We can encompass everything. Assume, Bill, makes sense?
Mr. Chairman, the board, through a communication to the select board recommending that the petition go forward, and their support for it is really what you can do.
Yep, okay.
That is the
And cover all
ultimate,
the bases, okay.
yeah. And I'm sure you can word craft something with the help of the other people and your secretary to do that.
We'll try. I'm the secretary today. All right, thank you, appreciate it. Anything else? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Oh, hey, Bill, hang on one second. Wait one second. In the email that we got, there was a comment about having kind of a meet and greet amongst the residents of what's the big subdivision?
Grandview?
Grandview.
Grandview, yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up a couple of days from
So
now.
Derek Bolduck, one of our members here, he says he's very interested in discussion on nitrogen. He can't be here today, but he's interested in discussion on nitrogen and the mill pond. If it would help, he has a great working friendship with the Holden family for many years, and they're great people. He'd be happy to reach out to them in regards to meeting with residents of Grandview. So
Wonderful.
council too, so,
I saw something on the internet today about that, so that is happening. It's going to be
Okay.
a part of the meeting that's coming up.
great.
Charlie Carlson will be representing
At the Holden
at
residence?
at the meeting,
Okay,
at that meeting.
great, cool.
Okay.
Great, thank you, appreciate it.
We've got Charlie coming to a neighborhood meeting Saturday.
Okay.
I'll come, just as a friend
I'll shoot one stand at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I know it's not a yard anymore.
See you, Bill, thank you.
Got a house full.
All right. Item number 1, 2, 3, looks like number 4. Parking at Rock Harbor. Bob Dutra.
Good news.
What do you got?
Seems to be working. We have room for everybody.
Okay,
So if anybody's been down there, Bud more than any of us, but at the end of the pavement, there's, turns to gravel. There's a couple of signs that says authorized vehicles only. Seems to be just threatening enough that people don't park in there. So when the lot gets full, there's still room. Or back and forth doing an oil change in the middle of the day, or somebody's going over the 4 hour, there's still room, even if the parking lot is full.
so for people who don't know, there's been, with the new configuration of the whole parking lot of the area, is limited, is it limited? Is it less spaces now, or is it the same amount, but just kind of, it's been reduced because they brought the bulkhead in, but now Young's is gone, so it's like, you get this giant,
You pick up a few, I think.
huh?
You pick up a few because you can park where the building used to be.
Yeah, but you can't, because there's no parking there. It's just,
People still just park.
you do, but that's a problem, because there's no paint there, but I've seen a line of 6 cars there, I'm like, that's not parking. There, so what do you do about that? What's the enforcement? Do you call the police? Do you call the harbor master? Do you call the local wrecker and say, hey, these cars have gotta go, and why are they there? You know, there's definitely some, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't wanna,
Questionable.
do what?
Questionable.
Yes, there's some questionable usage of the parking. But is it, I guess the main concern is there room for both the commercial fishermen and the general public to intermingle and still have access for both? And it may be limited for either or, but is there at least some access for both?
I would say yes,
Okay.
for sure.
And how often are you there? Are you fishing out of there? A couple days a week?
Yeah, maybe 3 days a week.
Okay.
Last week in the middle of the day, and lunchtime, the pavement was completely full, but I was still front row in the gravel, which
Okay.
is perfectly fine.
You can always put a small placard on your authorized sign that says towed at owner's expense.
TOAD, Toad.
It's difficult to assume what and how many cars are coming in
Oh, yeah.
to go to that restaurant.
Of course.
And the way they park, they're not uniform.
I know.
They don't like to park in the big parking lot and walk back to the restaurant.
I don't know why not. It's a pleasant walk, and you can certainly make fun of the boats and, you know, whatever crusty characters might be down there or whatever, but it's a pleasant walk. It's not like it's, 30 miles to go get your whatever. I'm not gonna assume anything. So right now, does it appear that the gravel area between the pavement and the stop sign, between the pavement and the cul-de-sac, that's primarily commercial use?
Yeah, I would say so. Wouldn't just say, but you get a couple brave ones who will go past the signs, but it doesn't seem like that many.
Okay,
Seems like if the main lot, if the paved lot is full, people will circle around the cars parked in the middle and then go elsewhere, but they won't go down on the gravel. But anybody in the know, any of the fishing fleets, slip holders, service people, whatever, know that they're in the authorized category and they can park there.
people eating lunch for a half an hour on their lunch break? Okay, I'm just curious, because it's good, because there was concern when the project first came around, and the first plan's like, well, this is really gonna work, and If it's working, great. If it's not, we have to try to fix it out, but right now it seems like it's okay, so.
Seems to be working.
Okay, great, that's awesome. Thank you. Any questions yet, Tom?
Although you don't have a lot of people going in there and parking, you still have a lot of traffic that goes down there and does a turnaround and so on and so forth. You've got your authorized personnel only, or authorized vehicles only, I guess. Could I suggest that perhaps you might want to put in a request to the DPW to just put up do not enter signs underneath the existing signs and make it much more glaring that this is not an area for the general public to be in. Double up your signs. Underneath those existing signs, the posts are already there. You'd only need the signs and 4 bolts. And that might be something that would curtail people going down there and turning around and coming on back out.
DPW?
And/or parking.
DPW makes their own signs, they have the burner?
Yes,
Okay.
they got their own sign shop.
Oh, sure. Thank you. 1 second here. Magic of the phone. Okay. And item number 6, Harbor Master Natural Resources. 1 second. Nate can't be here, but he sent me his report, so give me 1 second. Okay. This is Nate's Natural Resources Report, August 2026. Pilgrim Lake Herring Run Improvement, 30% design complete. On July 28th, the design team met with Brad Chase from DMF to review the plan. Brad was supportive of the conceptual design and provided input. Permitting will begin soon. Excellent. The Pawa dredge discussion. Marshall County Dredge performed bathymetry on the channel in July. The channel actually leading out of Powell. We now have baseline data to understand the scale of the project. Follow-up, next steps, discussion with Ted Keon should happen in September. So that's going along right along. So I still haven't heard back from the selectmen as far as my request for their support. I'll reach out to them again and say, have you any idea? So at least stuff is moving along on our end of it. So, all right. That's all I have from me, I think. And he also included the, this is pretty cool. He included a map of the soundings. I don't think it's core samples. I think it's just soundings, not core samples. But it's pretty cool. They did pretty involved. I'd say they have at least 300, maybe 350 actual marks leading in and out of the channel, which is pretty cool. If you'd like, I can send it to you all. It's an interesting little map. So. I believe is all I have from Nate. Yes, that's it. Okay. Next up is the election of officers. Anybody want to be an officer? So right now, I'm the chair. Bob's our second in command. We we do need a secretary. I'll be more than happy to do the notes for this meeting, but I did them for a couple of years, and I don't want to do them again. Anybody interested? What?
I'm happy right where I am right now.
Okay, I understand. Scott?
Tony will have to help me out.
On the same discussion, we need to recruit more people.
Yes.
Maybe we can recruit a secretary while we're at
Yes,
it.
yeah. So, in that discussion, we went through a list of people, probably, I don't know, a dozen names, and 10 of those, at least 10 of those, between Nate and I reached out to them, and there was like, yeah, no, it's almost impossible. I'd love to find someone for the group, at least one person, if not two, who are not commercial fishermen, who have no real tie to like the commercial industry or even, recreational for sure, but certainly recreational boating. Just to get more of like a layman's perspective from, from the town in general. And certainly commercial fishermen are welcome also. I've been looking around. If anybody has any names, please send them to me. I'll be more than happy to reach out to them. I have a list of like 6 more people I want to contact also. Interested in sitting on a new committee? Interested in sitting on a new committee?
I'm, as a member of the finance committee, I
Can't
can't
be
be
on
on
it.
any other
Okay.
committee.
Okay. Okay, just like to ask. Your name came up. All right, so we're actually trying, we're looking, so. And we don't care who you are, as long as you're a town member.
So who do we report to a prospect for a committee? Do we go to you?
Talk to me,
Do we
talk to
go
Nate.
Bob?
Whatever, it doesn't matter. If you know somebody, ask them. If you don't want to ask them, give me their name, give me their phone number, I'll reach out to them, I don't care. We're down to 5. We can have up to 9. 7 regular members and 2 auxiliary. So,
Past members, so I don't know what the rule is for when they can come
They have
back.
to be out, 1 year. She's on the list. She's on the list. We've been talking about it. We'll see what happens. All right, well, I'll be more than happy to do the minutes from now. Yes, but
1 year or 1 3-term?
I believe it's 1 year.
Yeah, you're gonna be off 1 year.
Not me. Yeah, I think it's 1 year.
You could always nominate Derek.
I don't want to do that. I watched that happen once before. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
That's when you never miss a meeting.
So are you staying until next June?
I have 1 more term. Yeah, I have 1 more year for my term, yeah. I believe. I'll check with Molly. I think it's 1 more year. But I can step down and someone else can be the chair. Come on.
I'm just curious, that's all.
Yeah, whatever, doesn't matter to me. We'll work on the election of officers. We'll see what Derek wants to do. Future agenda items. I have one. I talked to a fellow today who's he's a commercial fisherman and not full-time. He's also a carpenter, but he's on the water a lot, and he's requesting that we might consider some seasonal shellfish closures in different areas, in certain areas that right now are decent nursery areas. He was looking at, in particular, one area off of Skagit in Cape Cod Bay that was, he was walking on the flats one day and couldn't help but notice a really good set of steamers. Like, holy shit, whoops, oh my God, you don't see them anymore. So he just, poked around and dug some up. He said it was about 10% market size stuff, that's 2 inches. So, but the rest were really healthy, really promising, and he dug a few, I think he probably, I don't know how, I'm not gonna speak for him. He dug enough to know that it was about 10% were good market stuff. And in his eyes, that's the kind of area that should be shut down for at least 6 months, at least a few months, to get the rest of them up to speed, up to size, He said the rest were anything from 1/4 inch to, 1 3/4 inch, but a lot of seed. He went back 2 weeks later, and there were a couple guys digging, and they basically torched the whole area. They got about 100 pounds in a day and a half, ton and a half, and could have had 500 pounds if they just waited 6 months. The seed that was there was decimated. They didn't try and replant it. I know it's difficult to try and replant steamer seed, but it can happen. It doesn't dig back by itself, not easily anyway. And he said he was watching seagulls just bing, 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 just peck out, So basically the seed was gone. He said that would be a perfect opportunity, a perfect place to put in some kind of seasonal closure. And that's something that we could talk to Nate about. If we find spots like that, say, hey, hold off, wait 6 months, wait a year, have at it. But because it's a rarity to find any kind of steamer set pretty much anywhere in Orleans these days. I don't really know where they are. I don't dig them, so I don't really know. But he said it was just disgusting watching just this turmoil. They just walked away and just shaking his head, going, "What's up with these guys?" Whatever. So didn't see who the fishermen were. I don't know who they were. I don't care who they were. But the fact that they just couldn't wait, they had to have at it, which was kind of sad. So I mean, it's just you don't want to see that. So anything else for a future agenda item?
Yeah, one from the past. Under June 30th minutes, we had fertilizer bylaw enforcement
Yes.
for a future agenda meeting.
Yeah. So John Quigley I talked to him, he's really, really wants to get here, and he's really, really busy. He's fishing. He wrote the original letter to the selectmen as far as enforcing the existing bylaws. He can't find the letter, but he's more than happy to come and talk to us when he can make it. I asked him if he could make it on Zoom and talk to us on Zoom, or just send us an email that we could discuss. But he's more than happy to get over here and at least give us a heads up as to there's basically nothing going on, really, and why is that? And what maybe he may have some ideas as to what we can do to get the ball rolling. I think public education is number one, which I don't think is happening. I think it happened for a little while. So maybe you have some recall on that as far as public education regarding fertilizer use?
Orleans Pond Coalition is doing some.
Okay.
Orleans has a bylaw that was made in 2012. And for people that don't know, John Quigley, when he was on the committee, basically pretended he was a customer and called some of these companies. And it was about 5 or 6 companies. Every single one of them was exceeding what was in our bylaw. But what we found was, in terms of, doing it earlier in the season, later in the season, more frequently, there was a prohibition against when there's, don't do it right before a big rainfall because it just, runs away. There was a problem with enforcement.
Right.
So what happened when the committee brought the issue to the select board, the town of Nantucket, which everybody knows is also an island and a county, they got a home rule petition, but they're way out in the ocean and nobody around them. So the focus of the effort turned to trying to get a home rule petition. And I know that Chatham and Harwich and a couple of other towns are trying to do it too. The problem with the home rule petition is, well, this part's not a problem. In Massachusetts, a state representative can introduce a bill on behalf of a constituent just basically as a courtesy. So it wasn't a problem getting it introduced. The problem is getting them acted on. And at the end of the legislative year in December, anything that it wasn't acted on basically dies and you have to start over. So Michael Herman on the select board was pretty active and had referred us to a website, and there was a petition and this and that, but it's just kind of going around and around and around. So when we talked about it again, we thought maybe we should be focusing on enforcement of what we have.
Right.
And we couldn't even figure out who was supposed to be doing the enforcement. So that's
Right.
one of the questions out there. And I don't know if John was able to find out more, or whether when the season slows down a little bit, he might be able to, but that's something that the committee could certainly work on.
Maybe
And
conservation.
Orleans Pond Coalition has a pledge, and they even have little signs that you can stick in your yard and all that. So there is more education about that, but that's a private nonprofit organization. It's not anything town-sponsored.
Maybe Conservation Commission could be the enforcement? Would that make sense?
I think it needs to be a staff person, and it was something that we thought was a little unusual, don't quote me in this because I don't remember, but it was something like the building department, and it might be there isn't a person. There isn't staff to do it. The Conservation Commission reviews, they're a committee, they're a regulatory committee. They wouldn't be going out and doing enforcement.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
I think the only department that can actually give out fines is the health department.
Shellfish. In that department, yes, but I mean,
No, with the health, that's why everything always goes to the health department with the
Okay.
tanks, double wall tanks went to
Gotcha.
them.
we can find out, okay. That's what we have on that, but thanks for bringing that up, yeah. He's very busy, he wants to, he's promised he'll come talk as much as he can, but I think
He's
he's,
been off for a year?
huh?
He's been off for a year.
Yeah, no, Quigley? No, he just,
Oh, that's right, he just.
Yeah.
Bill.
Yeah. Oh, well, nice try. Maybe Dave Slack is interested. Dave, interested?
Oh,
He's not listening. He's listening. All right, that's what we have for the agenda. Anything else?
I have one question, Phil. And you were going back and you were doing water quality testing back at a certain time. And this was before all the building at Mill Pond, all around Mill Pond. Was there any notice of a nitrogen buildup previous to that, meaning the duck farm? I mean, duck farm must have had some impact to the quality of the water table.
Buddy, there were houses around Mill Pond. The water testing program only goes back like 25 years. There might be more now, but for some reason, they didn't study that area. I don't know what the reason was, because that was before my time.
Yeah, it's way before our time, everybody's time here. That was going way back when.
You also had.
And in
that-
some
yeah,
other areas of town, though, they did intensive studies. And I remember going to one public meeting where they talked about a plume from the landfill that's going towards Town Cove. And they were drilling wells and checking the rate of flow. And it was so slow that they said all the stuff from the landfill would take a couple hundred years to get there, although some of it would get there earlier. But I mean, there was, wells drilled around town, there was extensive studies, and why a TMDL wasn't set for an audit, I do not know.
Just to,
And I don't know, I think it's probably cumulative, and it's more than whatever the duck farm, produced in the area at the time.
There's a lot of nitrogen.
The main problem is usually septics and cesspools. We used to have cesspools. Cesspools and septics. Fertilizer is a small part. Road runoff is a small part. I mean, those are some of the things that you can tackle more easily, but they aren't the main problem. The main problem is septics. There's no septic systems that really take care of nitrogen, or the ones that they had. It just wasn't seen as an issue.
Like also,
Thank you.
as we all know, you had a turnover of water in the mill pond when the rush was really going.
yeah, it's a dead-end street there,
Yeah, now it doesn't
Right.
go
just
anywhere.
like a salt pond.
Yep.
Right.
You had aeration happening, you had a good flow going in, coming out.
Yes, Dave.
Good evening, folks.
Hey, Dave.
A couple of years ago, we commenced a quahog study in Pleasant Bay to see where there were quahogs. We know there aren't many, but we did a survey to see where there were cohogs, then some numbers that might be an opportunity for planting there in future. And Nate did a mortality study to find out in these places where there were cohogs, which places might serve as the best places to plant in the future. And that was done, and Nate gave a report as to the better places and the survival. And the whole point of the plan was to find places where we might plant in future to try to get more of a wild population in Pleasant Bay. And I wonder if we might have an update on where that is, that continue the discussion on where we might go in enhancing the natural population of cohogs in Pleasant Bay. And also, I like the idea of a closure, a temporary closure. I'm not sure if you have to work through DMF to do that. I think you might, but it's a great idea to get either soft shell clams or cohogs up to the size where you're going to get more spat. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. As a addition to the duck farm comment, discussion, years ago, what's the subdivision that's on the ocean side of Beach Road? Grandview, just across from Grandview. Countryside. So I worked as a surveyor for years, and part of our job was to locate test holes for septics. And we were doing a job in Countryside, and we were down, way down, it kind of winds down. You're looking right at the marsh. I remember the LDA used to be right there in front of you when that washed up. But test hole, they went down probably about 15 feet, 16, 20, maybe 20 feet, hit water. 6 feet down was all organic matter, including full skeletons, bones, you name it, of ducks. It was a solid 6 feet of like black soil. That was basically the cemetery that they threw all the dead. I mean, like, I was like, wow, it was pretty interesting. I like that kind of stuff, but it was really, that's kind of telling us to where all that stuff kind of actually went. It was gross, but pretty cool at the same time, so. Aside.
Yeah, one of the last houses on Grandview against the western edge of it, before you hit Johnson's big track there. John Martin had that house. He had to screen the whole lot.
Yeah.
Because it was the old dump.
The old dump, yeah, around the edge, yeah, that was huge. And that was like, as it went back only about the 20s or 30s. So what happened to the stuff from before that, I don't know. I looked, I never found it. But that was huge. That was one big giant hole. That was right up till about the 70s.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Yeah, that was about, what, 10 years ago, 8 years ago?
Time flies, yeah.
Yeah, that was huge. All right, that's all we have. Thank you again, Dave. Todd, thank you. Rest of our crew.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Oh, was that a motion, or just asking?
No, I second it.
Okay.
Yep.
And let it be known that
They had-
7:10.
Bill, they had more than ducks and chickens, though, at the farm, right?
Have you voted to adjourn? I heard you
Yes.
motion, but
Yes, I'm
I
sorry.
didn't hear a vote.
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
No, you have to do the all in
You have
favor.
to, everyone needs to vote yes or no to adjourn.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Aye.
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 Any?